So what's the difference between the CPL and the MLS? Well, that's a question I'm going to be analyzing in this week's video, so stay tuned. Hey guys, it's Curtis here and you're watching my channel A.F.C. Curtis, your home for all things Canadian Premier League content right here on YouTube, so maybe consider hitting that red subscribe button. So one common question I get from new MLS fans, new CPL fans, and just casual soccer fans in general nowadays is what's the difference between the CPL and the MLS? And that's something I'm really breaking down in this week's video to kind of just answer those questions here and to really show that there is quite a difference between the CPL and the MLS in terms of quite a few things here. So without further ado, let's get started. So a Major League Soccer, the US's Division I league here, MLS, with them here, they are different from quite a lot of actually soccer leagues in general. Whether it's a CPL or even Europe, they're completely different from all that stuff there. They decided to be more Americanized and pretty similar to really the NHL, MLB, NBA, and NFL there by making their league a franchise model, a single entity ownership group from the MLS down. So the MLS is technically a league, owns all their clubs, every single one of them. They're all just franchised out to an investor, aka the owners of these different clubs, who really just operate the clubs that they technically invest in, like Toronto F.C. and the Columbus Crew and DC United, as I'm wearing, LA Galaxy. All these clubs are all just franchised out, and they're all actually technically owned by the MLS, along with the player contracts actually are all owned by the MLS and not by those clubs singular wise. So the MLS, I believe, does get a cut from transfers, if I'm not mistaken on that one. They also have a bunch of rules in terms of their contracts too, because they do have a salary cap down there, just like other North American style of leagues here. Their salary cap though was a little over, I think it was 4.2 and a bit in 2019. I'm going to actually have a link for their 2019 roster rules down in the description below. This is the latest one that I could find when I'm recording this video. But with it, there's a whole bunch of new, like, different rules with them. They have different acronyms. They got TAM, they got GAM, they got DP salaries. The biggest obviously contract type is a designated player, also known as a David Beckham rule, which they started back in 2007. Essentially helps all these clubs who, because they have such a small salary cap, go out there and spend big money and have only about $333,000 of that salary actually counting against the salary cap, but they could spend up to about 7 or 10 million. They could spend anything really to bring in players from Europe to help bring up the talent level, as well as bring in some big names to draw in more people and fill more seats essentially. So I mean, that's a big contract type that a lot of people see. That's how players like Thierry Henry and David Beckham and Zlatan all came into the Canadian or into the Major League Soccer, is because of these designated player slots. And every team has a couple slots. They also can trade slots, and they trade players all the time in the MLS. So they're really just a different league from any other soccer league, which kind of makes them cool and unique because they are more North Americanized in terms of their contracts, in terms of the salary cap, and their whole ownership franchise. Now, along with all those things, the reason why obviously you might not be seeing a Vancouver Whitecaps or a Montreal Impact or a Toronto F.C. come to the Canadian Premier League here is because essentially the owners are investing in the league, and the league actually technically owns those 3 Canadian MLS clubs, and there's obviously a whole bunch of other reasons why, but obviously it's not possible that we could see them in the Canadian Premier League. I just don't think it's likely anytime soon, just because they are going to be making more money in Major League Soccer since it has been around longer and does make quite a bit of money for those 3 MLS clubs, not just domestically but all over the world now. As they're getting bigger and bigger, they're getting globally better audiences and numbers across the board in Canada, in the US, and in Europe. So that's kind of a big reason why you won't see those 3 MLS clubs jump to the Canadian Premier League, even though they are Canadian. Now, despite all those different rules in terms of contracts and all the stuff with the 3 MLS Canadian clubs, their regular season, or their whole season format I should say, is completely different than any other league. They have a preseason, yes, like everyone, but then they got a regular season of 34 games. Every team is split into 2 conferences, the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, and you got standings and an X amount of teams. I think it's 6 teams in each conference, if I'm not mistaken, will make the playoffs, and then some teams get a bye, some teams will play in the first round. It's all single game elimination in the playoffs. all the way to the MLS finals, which was in November last year, which is a single game elimination there. And of course, that's how they determine the league champion. It's not the team with the most points in the standings at the end of the regular season. It's actually the team that goes on to win the MLS Cup through the playoffs, kind of like just like the NHL with the Stanley Cup finals, the NFL there, or the NBA with the NBA championships. Is all similar to that. So that's essentially how the whole season format works for Major League Soccer. Now for the CPL, a big reason why they are different from the MLS and quite similar actually to South American or even European clubs is that each club is individually owned, meaning that you can't really trade players from team to team, but those teams actually own those contracts of those players on that team. It's not the league that owns the contracts, it's the team. And therefore, you know, when a player gets sold from a team to another club, they actually get that transfer fee, the club does, and they get all of it and they get to keep it. It's not the CPL that gets a piece of it, it's all going to the team. So for example, when Cavalry FC last month sold one of their star players, Joel Waterman, to Montreal Impact of the MLS, the entire fee went to Cavalry FC, which is quite important because now they can use that fee in some kind of way to invest within themselves, whether it's in new contracts, player development investments, stadium investments, upgrades, or even going out there in the transfer market and spending that fee on a replacement player. One thing that is similar to the CPL and the MLS that kind of relates them to actually pretty much every North American sport is the salary cap. Now the reason why there's a salary cap, of course, is to make it a competitive league for all the teams to be competitive, so they can only play at a certain cap and they can't just spend more than their other opponents. They're kind of something that you see in Europe or in South America. But with this cap, obviously, because the league is so new, it's quite small. It is rumored to be around $750,000 to $800,000. But of course, this doesn't count the extra incentives maybe a player's contract might have, and that obviously varies and is different between player to player. So now to the CPL season format. Now this year is going to be a little bit different than their inaugural year last year. Last year they had the split seasons, they had kind of like 2 mini seasons in one, and the champion of each season would go on to play in the finals. Now this year, now that they have an even 8 teams, it's going to be a little bit better. A little bit more balanced, I think, here. It's going to be a full 28 game season. There's not going to be 2 split seasons. It's going to be 1 full season, 28 matches for each team in this season. There's going to be 8 teams, a perfect round even number, thank God. And with that, it's going to be a balanced schedule as well for these teams. So you're going to be playing, each team will be playing each other 2 times at home and 2 times on the road. So it's perfect, it's balanced, everything is balanced, it's awesome, and it's a single table. And the only time the playoffs really come into effect here, there's not really a playoff here, but with this one, in terms of points here, the team with the most points, whoever finishes first, gets an automatic place in the 2-legged CPL final at the end of October there. And then the second place versus third place team will play off in a single game elimination playoff style type match, and the winner of that will play the first place team in the CPL finals, which again is 2 legs, home and away, and most goals through that will be the CPL champion in 2020. So a bit of a different format in 2020, but it's something I think I really like and I think the fans will enjoy in 2020. Well guys, hopefully this video helped answer those questions between what's the difference between the CPL and the MLS. I do get that question a lot, or of course another one is why isn't Toronto FC, Montreal Impact, Vancouver Whitecaps, why aren't they in the CPL? And obviously I discussed in this video the reason why they're not in there. But of course, let me know down in the comment section below though. I want to talk to you guys down there about some possible MLS versus CPL type games, some fantasy games that we could maybe strategize down there. Do you want to see like an MLS All-Stars versus CPL All-Stars? Would that be cool? Or do you want to see MLS clubs versus CPL clubs? Maybe like a little tournament between the 2 leagues? Let's talk down in the comment section below. And of course, if you like this video, definitely hit that thumbs up, that like button. And of course, if you want to see more content just like this about the Canadian Premier League, maybe consider hitting that red subscribe button and a little bell notification button beside that so you can get notified each and every week when I drop a brand new episode just like this one. And you can also watch my content over at northernstarting11.com. I'll have a link for that website down in the description below. A bunch of great soccer related content for Canadians, by Canadians, and really not just for Canadians but for everybody. So go check it out now. Link is in the description below. And until next time guys, thank you for watching.